Hey, good morning, German. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Really, really good. Thank you so much for joining me today. Basically, I want to talk about your health journey. I want to talk about where you've been, where you currently are at, and where you plan to go.
Okay.
And if you're open to that, let's just start off the party by asking you a few questions so people can
Okay.
get a general sense of like who you are, what you look like, um, what we're working with.
Okay.
So some of the questions, and I only want you to, answer what you feel comfortable with and what you don't feel
Sure.
comfortable with. Just don't answer it.
Okay.
So some of the things I'm wondering about are maybe like your age, and you don't have to be specific, but you can say like a range.
Yeah.
Your height, weight, again, no specifics needed if you don't feel
Okay.
comfortable, just so we have a general idea. And maybe a couple more things about who you are, like what you do for a living. Do you work out now? And if you do, what does that look like?
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
so that's a lot.
Yeah. So just make sure you ask me one by one and then so I don't forget
Okay.
anything. Yeah.
All right, so how old are you, or roughly?
I am in my early mid 40s or mid 40s,
Okay.
technically, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm
mid
44.
40s.
I mean, we're the same age, right? So there's no,
I am very proud to say that I am 44.
right. Yeah. You're like 4 months older than me, so I see you as my respectful elder.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
And
a few months older than me, so
height and weight, roughly?
5'10", and right now I'm at about 250, 245, something like that. It's been a minute since I've weighed myself, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you not weigh yourself regularly?
No, not lately. Because
Have you ever?
yeah, yeah. When back in a couple of years ago, when I was like really consistent with my fitness and all that, I would actually keep track of it on a regular basis because I wanted to see the progress. But now that I'm not as consistent or as diligent about it, it's a little like I don't want to know right now, kind of
You
thing,
don't want
right?
to know right now.
It's not that I don't want to know, but it's kind of like, I know it's not going to be where I want it to be, so I rather get to work first and then check.
I see. I see. And what kind of relationship do you have with the scale?
Um, I don't really have one. I mean, I'm not like scared of it, but it's just not something that I think about. Mostly because one of the things that I did learn you know, when I got really into the whole fitness journey a couple of years ago that, we're gonna get into, right? Was that the scale doesn't really matter that much. I mean, it does, but it's not indicative of where you're at with your fitness generally, right? It's not
What do you mean
it's
by
not
that?
it's not the whole picture, right? Like,
It's not the
well,
whole picture. Yeah, and please explain to us what that means.
you could weigh yourself, today and weigh 230 pounds, go to the gym, eat right, and then you can come back and still weigh 230 pounds, but now it's going to be more muscle and less fat, right? And so it's not so much the scale, but it's kind of just how you look, how you fit into your clothes. That's kind of what I go by
Yeah.
more than anything.
I love it when people tell me like, "Hey Kat, the scale hasn't budged at all, but my dress size has gone down. My shirt size has gone down. My jeans are fitting way looser. They feel comfortable, they're not like suffocating me anymore."
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of what that's kind of what I go by more than like the number on the scale, if you will.
Yeah, I think personally, I think that's very smart. Now, when you feel like you do want to be diligent, you do want to
Mhm.
be consistent, you're lasered in, you're focused, do you find that it is useful to look at the scale more often? And if so, how often?
Yeah, it's useful because if you're like on a mission, if you will, like, then it kind of motivates you when you're seeing tangible results, right? Um, Especially when like I know for a fact, or I'm pretty sure that those numbers coming off the scale, they are, like losing fat. They are, more muscle or whatever, right? Like you can kind of figure that sometimes based on how you look and like I said, how you fit into your clothes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had a DEXA scan done before?
No. I've
Do you
done
know
the
what that is?
embody. I don't.
A DEXA scan is like a body composition scan where you lie down in this contraption that looks like an open MRI, and a machine goes over you, I don't know,
Mhm.
in about 7 to 8 minutes. And it scans your body for the percentage of fat and muscle in your body, as well as your bone density, and it's specific to each region, so it can tell you how much fat and how much lean mass you have in your left arm, for example, and it can do that all throughout the body. So that way we take the guesswork out of it, and we have some reliable, consistent data.
Yeah, no, I've never done that. I've done the what's it called, the InBody that they have at some gyms and some of the
Yeah,
vitamin shops and stuff like that.
yeah.
I don't know how accurate it is, but I've done it, and
It can be accurate. The trick here is whatever tool you decide to use to measure your body composition, your relation from fat to muscle or lean mass, because lean mass encompasses anything that isn't fat or bone. You just have to be consistent, right? So people might have more than one scale in their house, for example, and you have to use the same scale over and over. That way you can build consistency. If I use different scales to measure my weight, then each scale is most likely going to be calibrated a little bit differently. You know what I mean?
yep.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. And let's build a more colorful picture of who German is. Like, what do you do for a living? What do you do all day?
What I do all day.
Yeah.
I by trade or for a living, I'm an attorney.
Hmm.
I mean, I look like one right now, but I am. You know,
What
with
does
my
that mean? Do
attire.
attorney do you have to look a certain way?
Well, people expect a dude in a suit and a tie and whatever, which I do wear when I'm on, you know, an official business, but I am not right now. So
I'm just
this is
giving you
ho-
shit.
this is how you see me like on a Saturday afternoon running errands in Canoga Park or something like that. I mean, that's yeah.
And besides being an attorney, what else do you do all day? Like, some of your hobbies?
I have quite a few. I have a private pilot's license. That's like my passion,
That's
childhood dream
cool.
that I always wanted to do that since I was a kid, and I didn't get a chance to do it until I was an adult and had the means to do it, right? Because of my day job. Um, I also play recreational hockey or beer league hockey, if you will, twice a week, at least twice a week. Um, and yeah, I go to the gym as well. I mean, those are sort of like my main hobbies.
And you do CrossFit, right?
Yeah, that's where
And
you and I met.
yes,
Yeah,
that's where we met several years ago, and we connected during the heart of the pandemic,
right.
right? During
Yes.
the height of the pandemic,
Yeah.
because we had a lot of time, and we were fortunate enough to be members of a gym that stayed open outside, of course, and we had more time to socialize. And I think part of the reason why we were able to connect with so many of the other gym members is just having that time, right? Those are
Right.
I look fondly on that time.
Well, yeah, and that's when I was talking about when I got really into like my fitness journey, like really diligent about it. It's because I was working mostly from home, so instead of commuting to my office for an hour and a half every morning, I would spend that time at the gym, right?
Wait,
Uh,
you
every
travel,
day.
you commute to your office every day, hour and a half to an hour and a half one way or round trip?
No, each way.
Each way? And you're doing that currently?
Yeah, not
How many
not
how
every
many
day
days a
because
week?
um, if I'm at the office every day, it's 5 days a week. But I also, because of my job, I also have to go meet with clients at their locations, and that could be San Diego, that could be out in the Antelope Valley, could be anywhere. I mean, in Southern California. So
So basically
a lot
what you're
of
saying is you drive a lot.
I do. Yeah,
Wow. Okay, so
yeah,
that's a lot of time of sitting in the car.
yeah.
And You also go to the gym. So what time do you go to the gym?
So when I can, during the week, I try to go at 5 a.m. class.
5 a.m. Damn, that's
Yeah,
early. And
yeah.
how many days a week do you do that, or is it does it vary?
It varies. I try to do twice, 2 days during the week. Um, Usually ends up being like Tuesday and Wednesday, and
Mm-hmm.
then Saturdays. That's when I go. I don't do
Nice.
Mondays because on Sunday nights I play hockey and I'm just destroyed. And on Thursdays I also play hockey, Thursday nights. And I sometimes I can do the CrossFit and hockey, but not the other way. So it's a little. I just I just try to do one thing a day nowadays.
I like that. And it sounds like hockey destroys you to the point where you need to have that scheduled rest day on
Yeah,
Mondays and Fridays for sure.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's
that's smart. I definitely recommend people taking rest days and listening to their bodies. 1 to 2 rest days a week, maybe even more depending on how vigorously you work out, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because you also just came back from being sick, you had a little cold,
yeah,
right? And then you have to slow down during that time. You don't That's not the time to push.
yeah. I've been resting the whole time. I mean, we had Christmas and everything, so I just sat on the couch all day and rested.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So you keep, alluding to this time a couple of years ago, this magical
hmm
time
magical.
when you had more time for your
Yeah,
fitness. And I mean, I totally understand. I was right there with you. We
right.
all had more time if we so chose to spend our time in that way. Because, I do know of a lot of other people who went the opposite direction, where they drank alcohol more, where they actually worked out less.
Right.
And, but that's not what I did, and that's not what you did. So, if that was, would you say that was the time you were the fittest?
Yeah, absolutely. That
Oh,
maybe
without a doubt.
year and a half. I mean, I lost a ton of weight. I was, pretty lean, like lots of muscle. It was crazy, right? Because I would work out and then sometimes I hang around the gym and then you'd show up and you're like, hey, let's go for a 2 mile run, and I'm like, well, yeah, I got 20 minutes before I got to start working, so let's go do it, right? That kind of
Yeah,
thing,
that
and
was fun.
that was fun. Yeah,
It's so fun to do extra credit with a friend. On your own, it's like, okay, great. Like, I feel good about myself. I did it. But it's more fun when you have a training buddy or a
right,
friend that you can do that with. Yeah, we 100%, we did a mile minimum after every single workout, no matter what. And
right.
then I remember us slowly pushing that mile like to 1.25, 1.5, and gradually building.
Yeah,
So do you remember what weight you got down to when you were at your fittest?
probably around 220,
Okay,
something like that.
nice.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have an ideal weight in mind at all?
Um, Probably around 200. I'm thinking.
Okay. Okay.
Because I was kind of getting there, right? Like I was starting to get there, and I'm like, if I could just those other 20 pounds, I'll be where I want to be, right? And I
Yeah.
can start actually trying to build it up in the, more lean mass, that kind of thing. But yeah,
So tell
but
me
then life
what you
happened.
have to do to get there.
It was just mostly diet and consistency working out. I mean, that's what I did back then, and that's sort of the that's what's changed, right? That you know, life went back to mostly normal. Started working every day from the office or out with clients, and even today, I can't really do the 5 a.m. class some days because I have to be heading out to where I gotta go by 4 a.m. Right? So, or 5 a.m. So I can't make it to the gym, right?
Yeah.
So that makes it a little trickier to
Do
be
you ever get
consistent.
to work from home or not anymore?
Uh, Very rarely. Um,
Very
certain
rarely.
certain situations, yeah, but yeah, I mostly work in the office or, like I said, out and about.
Have you thought about ways to set up your work lifestyle where you can incorporate more time for working out?
Um, I've thought about it. It's just that my work schedule tends to be very inconsistent and unpredictable, so it's kind of hard to have a plan, right?
Yeah.
Because
Do
I
you,
never know if I'm going to be gone from 5 a.m. till 5 p.m. or 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. or something like that. I really never know.
do you like that aspect? Does it keep it exciting, or actually you don't like that?
I wouldn't say it's exciting, but I like what I do, so I don't mind it so much.
And are you going to stick with this job? Like it's the kind of job where you do like what you do so much that you're going to accept the kind of work schedule that it demands?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is a good job, and I like what I do, so I plan on sticking with it.
So then talk to me about how we get you to your weight loss goal to if work schedule has to take the priority.
Mhm. Well, that's a rub, as they say, right? I've been trying to figure it out for about a year and a half or 2 years.
All right, so let's do this. Let's put the gym on the back burner for now
Hmm.
because we've talked about that. What we haven't dove into is, nutrition and basically anything that you put into your body.
Hmm. Yeah.
So let's talk about that if you're cool with it, and tell me what that looks like right now. So anything that you consume, anything that you drink, what does that look like? And then maybe we start to talk about what we need to really look at.
Okay. I can tell you what it doesn't look like, right? Because that's like my point of reference, which is again going back to the magical times that we're talking about, where um, I'd go to the gym, come home, I'd eat my breakfast with all my protein and my carbs and my fat, all weighed and everything. Um, not a lot of fast food, not a lot of alcohol. Um, so that's what I was doing back then,
That's
and
what worked.
that's what worked, right?
Got it.
And like I said, as life went a little bit back to normal, and there's more, you get invited to dinner more often. There's a happy hour here. Being on the road so much, I mean, it's not an excuse, but it's kind of hard to try to, find a, macro-friendly meal when you're out in the middle of the desert, right?
Yeah. And
That's
have you thought about, or have you packed food with you, whether it was snacks and or a cooler of food? Have you thought about that?
I've thought about it. I've never gotten around to it, just because it's somewhat impractical for me. Because I mean, I wouldn't know what to pack in a cooler that's gonna stay in there for like, maybe 12 hours sometimes. I mean, yeah.
Well, I know that there are some coolers out there, like the hard coolers that you can put ice into, you can put ice packs, and I don't know, it might be worth testing, right? And where you could put even things that had to be refrigerated, like meats, like I don't even know if you do hard boiled eggs or medium boiled eggs or whatever. Things that don't require refrigeration, like a variety of different nuts. You can pack fresh fruit, which requires no refrigeration unless it's like, yeah. Do you like any of those foods?
Uh, no, I like the hard-boiled eggs, but not the what are the other type of eggs?
Medium boiled.
Yeah, no, that's for crazy people. I don't do those. Yeah.
Oh, judgy with
Yeah.
the yolk that's just a little bit ooey gooey.
No, yeah, no,
Oh
no,
God, I'm
not for
salivating over
me.
here. All right,
Yeah.
anyways, so great. We did find something,
Yeah.
hard-boiled eggs. There's pure protein for you. It's got 6 to 7 grams of protein per egg, depending on the size. There's no carbs, there's no fat. That could be something.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what? That could be one small change. If you have a little like ice chest, a little, and you could even like buy one and like a little igloo or a Yeti or something like that. Put ice in there and have a cute little Tupperware with like 3 eggs and just start the party like that. Like we start small. Nobody said you have to pack a picnic lunch, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
With flowers and proper silverware. I think that's where people tend to get overwhelmed. Like, let's start small. Let's start with the eggs. Is that something you could do?
Yeah.
All right. So
That
on
sounds
my
very doable to
challenge,
me.
when are you going to start?
Well, sooner the better, right?
Yeah, give me a date.
I don't know. next week, this week.
I like this week.
Yeah, let's do this week. I mean, I'm gonna be home for the next couple of days, so it's not gonna be a thing. But yeah,
Do you have eggs in your fridge now?
yeah,
You want to make them today?
yeah. I'm gonna make them today.
Okay,
I
beautiful.
actually
Look at
like them.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, you're going to get me excited to make some hard-boiled eggs as well because I love them too.
yeah. Hard boiled,
Hard-boiled,
hard boiled.
medium-boiled if I want because it's my life, okay?
It's your journey. That's right.
Okay, so we got eggs on there. Let's talk about like liquids. Are you a soda drinker?
Yeah, but I drink mostly diet soda with yes. I've heard that that's not good for you. Blah blah blah. But sometimes I need it to keep me going. The caffeine. But I don't do like the full sugar sodas or anything like that. That actually gives me a headache.
So diet
So
sodas are better for you.
yeah, because regular anything like that's super sweet, like a regular Snapple or something's gonna give me a headache. So it's got to be zero sugar
Got you.
or water.
So it's got to be a substitute sugar, like a
Yeah,
sucralose or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
Do you mess around with stevia at all?
I do. I just don't like how it tastes very much, but I
Yeah.
tried it.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
what I've been going towards lately, it's monk fruit sweetener,
Sure.
like in my coffee and a couple of other things, and it I seems to be working.
And you like
Seems to like
that
it.
as opposed to stevia?
Yeah.
That's interesting because I prefer stevia over monk fruit. And okay, so you do have coffee then?
Yeah, several times a day.
Several times a day. How many
Oh
cups of
yeah.
coffee you having?
I don't know, like maybe 2 in the morning. Um,
How
I
big
gotta
are
have
your
one in.
cups?
It's like a regular coffee mug. I mean,
And
I
fill it
gotta
up.
have one. I gotta have one when I wake up, before the gym or before I go to work. That's non-negotiable.
Okay.
And then if I'm driving or if I go to the office, there's a coffee machine there, and I'll have a couple of I don't know, I think they're like 8 ounces or something like that. Have like one
Yeah.
or two of those, and just kind of keep going.
What do you mean you keep going? You mean you have more later on?
Yeah, if I feel like I need it, I'll have it. But at that point, it's not that I gotta have it.
And you put monk fruit in there?
I don't have that at the office. They have I just have a creamer that's already kind of sweetened,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just use that.
Okay. So it
Yeah,
sounds like maybe with coffee you're definitely going for the effects,
yeah.
but
And I mean, I like it.
you like the taste as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm always asking people about their caffeine consumption as well because I like to see what forms they take and how much they take. So if we're relying on caffeine, because do you know what caffeine does to the body?
I know it'll get you going.
Yeah, but do
So
you know how?
how?
It opens up the blood vessels, and
Hmm.
so that blood flows faster, and it dilates those blood vessels. And so that's why, myself included, when we take in caffeine, mine is in the form of like hot black tea. It helps us to go to the bathroom in the morning.
Right? It's a diuretic, right?
It is also a diuretic, but it helps you to go number two. But
Oh, okay.
it's a diuretic in that it will dehydrate you a bit and help you to pee. So when you're taking in caffeine, in particular coffee or black tea, you should also be having water.
Yeah, I try to do that.
Yeah.
I do balance it out. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, good. Um, alcohol. You drink alcohol?
yeah. Like
Okay, how do you know
like
how much at all?
a couple of beers a week, maybe. I mean, it's not a regular thing. I mean, I'm like a regular dude that like sometimes just wants to go have a beer or two with his buddies, or sometimes after a rough day at work, I'll grab a beer, right? Or if
I
I
have
go out to dinner
never
or something like
ever
that.
heard you refer to yourself as a regular dude
In that sense,
in that sense.
yes.
A regular dude in that sense to me is the guy, he's had a long day at work. He just wants to go in his recliner or go to happy hour. He wants to kick up his feet, loosen that tie
Mm.
and put back a couple of brewskis.
Yeah, a couple being the key word, maybe one or two, not you know,
Not three,
not
four,
like
five, or six.
no, no.
Right. And does it get you buzzed at all?
Uh, 2 beers probably don't. After that, maybe. But
Yeah.
I try not to do it because, if I gotta drive or something, it's not something that I want to like take a chance on. So
Yeah, that's smart.
yeah,
Is it only beer or can it be wine or can it be hard alcohol?
I don't really like hard alcohol that much, and I like wine, but I prefer beer.
And which beer do you order or buy?
I don't have a brand that I like or don't like. Um, I tend to go for the crafty stuff. Like, if I go to, I don't know, if I'm out to dinner or something and they bring me the beer list and I'm like, oh, that's Vid beer from Germany or something like that. Bring it, right? I,
Okay.
wa- I kind of go for it for the taste, the type of beer.
You
I'm not,
like the taste of beer.
yeah,
Yeah, I like to wrap my head around this because I'm currently not drinking alcohol. And it's not that I'm never going to drink alcohol again, but you know, as I get older, I realize that my body in particular is becoming more and more sensitive to it in a lot of different ways. Like, not just how I feel the next day, not how I feel in the moment, but it's affecting my skin. It affects like my hair. It affects my gut, all of those things. So let's go back and forth a little bit to the magical time a couple of years ago
hmm
when were you not drinking alcohol at all, or were you just drinking less?
uh, probably a lot less, or maybe not at all for the most part. I mean,
Yeah. So you don't ever feel like you have a need to drink
no,
alcohol, right?
no,
And you never ever feel pressured by your friends or by colleagues to ever drink, right?
no, absolutely not. And I kind of and I'm glad you brought that up because we talked about this, right? This is kind of
Yeah, we
why
did.
you had an episode a couple of weeks ago when you and your co-host
Jamila.
Jamila, yeah, you guys were having this discussion about, well, sometimes if you go out to dinner with like a supervisor or a coworker or your friends and they're like pressuring you into it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. It's I'm not sure I fully buy into that argument or
Yeah,
that.
but get specific because some people may not have listened to that episode.
Yeah,
But basically, Jamila and I were talking about we have seen with friends and clients how they sometimes feel peer pressured
right.
to drink alcohol. We were talking specifically about folks who feel pressured, and I've experienced this firsthand where I have some clients who go to huge, possibility of making big business deals, and the person they are going to do business with, hopefully, is a drinker.
Right.
And they, in turn, want them to drink so that they're joined by someone. They're not drinking alone. And the thing that I've heard is they feel peer pressured if they don't drink, even if they're on a health journey, even if they're training with me and they know better. And you are like, well, wait a minute, wait a minute. What, how do you feel about that, German?
I feel like it's a little bit of a cop out.
Yeah,
That
why?
Well, you were talking about specifically, people in those positions or people our age, right, in our mid 40s, 40s, what have you.
Maybe a little
Uh,
older too, 50s and
Maybe a little
60s.
older, right? And I don't think they're being dishonest when they say that, but I think that's themselves kind of rationalizing why they drink, right? If you're a CEO, if you're somebody that's about to make a multi-million-dollar deal or what have you, you're
Yeah.
not the type of person that's going to get peer pressured into anything, right? And on the other, and by the same token, if you're making that kind of a deal, that's where there's a lot of money or what have you. I don't think either side is going to let that deal fall through because one person didn't have a drink, right? That's just being a bad business person at that point, right? So I think that's a little bit of a cop out, and I think specifically when you said like, oh, some of my clients, I'm like, well, who are they talking to when they're telling you this? You, right?
They're talking to me.
And what do you do? What do you do for them? You're
I'm their health coach. I'm their accountability buddy.
Right.
I always tell them, and I've told you this, German, be honest with me. Like people know that I'm not going to go around judging you because that doesn't help if you try to appear one way. The
Yeah.
only way I can help you, either as a health coach, as a friend, or both, I, we have to be real with each other.
Right. Right. And I think and that's why I think it's a little bit of a cop out. And like I said, I don't think they're necessarily trying to be dishonest or hide something from me. I just think in their own minds that's how they see it.
I I have to agree with you because I can tell when people are, being completely honest and then versus like trying to be good or trying
Right.
to impress me or trying to find an excuse. And I try not to judge that because I've also been there, but I've also been blindsided and I've trusted people. I've trusted their words and then, later on found out like, whoa, they were totally keeping something from me. And this affects the health journey. This affects how I can coach them. And none of it's right or wrong. None of it is. I don't want to judge on this, but it's just a matter of, you know, how much do you actually want me to help you?
Right.
Yeah. So with you, what what do you think that you need in order to reach your goal? Because I would love to see you reach your goal of getting to 200 pounds. I haven't seen you at 200 pounds. I've seen you at 220, and I would love to first see you at 220, and then I would love to see you at 200. What do you think you need? And you don't have to have all the answers
Yeah.
because I think if you did, you would be getting there. But
Yeah.
what do you think you need?
I need to hold myself accountable more, I think.
How do you do
That's
that?
I just be disciplined. I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? That I know what I need to do. I know what works. I just have to do it, right? And yeah, especially with nutrition, because like I said, the gym and working out, sometimes it's hard to do that's something that's hard to control as far as like my schedule. But with nutrition, what I put into my body, that's something that I could have a little bit more control of. And I think that's something that will definitely get me there. Maybe not as fast as it did once before, but I think that'll definitely get me there.
Do you think that having conversations like this helps?
Yeah,
Do
because
you
I'm sort
think,
of like putting it out there, right? Like,
yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Like when you talk it into existence, if you will, when
yeah,
you say it like this, and if you're willing to share it with other people so that they can hear it too, you're kind of creating accountability buddies all over. Like
right.
I'm already one of your accountability partners. And okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think that it would be helpful to have a dedicated accountability buddy?
I think so. Yeah, I think I would.
Have you ever done it that way before?
No.
Is there anybody that you could think of, or maybe, after this conversation, you could think of somebody who who you could recruit as your accountability buddy?
Yeah, I have a couple of people that I've actually talked to about it before. I've just never actually followed through, but I definitely would.
I think that that's the key. I find that a lot of people do really well when they have another human to communicate with because you and I and other people, we've done 30-day challenges together, right?
Right. Oh yeah.
And those are fun because we're not doing it alone.
Yeah. And it's that inner thing where you're like, I better do it because, I'm in this challenge. And even though nobody's like looking at you and I could just, go into the group chat or whatever and say like, yeah, I did my 30 push-ups today. That's not the point, right? So you kind of feel like you want to do it.
You want to do it more when you
Yeah.
have other people that you're in a way reporting to. And reporting is
Yeah.
obviously too strong of a word, but that you're sharing with.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because one of the things that we did at the gym way back then was that there was actually like a fitness challenge that lasted like 6 weeks or something like that.
Yes.
where we had to like actually weigh ourselves every day and take pictures of the scale, and there was like a prize at the end, and I mean I was on it, and I think that's when I did like a lot of progress within a relatively short time, like 2 months or something like that. I dropped like 20 pounds,
You
something like
dropped
that.
20 pounds in how many months?
Maybe like 2 months, month and a half, whatever the challenge was, like 6 weeks. And then I kind of kept going after it ended because I was just in that mode. So yeah,
How well did you do to the other people who were partaking in that challenge?
compared to them, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I didn't win it, but I think just being in it was kind of the whole point of it for me.
Yeah. So you saw the results, you felt the results, and you
Yeah,
even stuck with, that kind of lifestyle beyond the challenge after
right.
it completed. But then what happened?
Like I said, just life went back to normal, and it was a little harder to stay as diligent about the gym, about nutrition, um, that type of thing.
Are you saying when life went back to quote unquote normal that um, lockdown basically started to ease up and COVID started to ease up?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, things started opening up again, and friends want to go to dinner or happy hour, or there's potlucks at work, and people are bringing stuff into the office, and just in general, things open up more, right?
Yeah.
Family gatherings, started happening again.
When you
So,
say things started opening up more, I think you mean that literally, but also it's like, because I know you to be a very social person. And I think
right,
that being social with people that you enjoy is super, super healthy. I think that it's really, really good for us mentally and emotionally.
yeah,
And if you have friends who are physically active, what a bonus. But
right.
I'm wondering if being social and like people bringing food to potlucks at work or at other gatherings, if you're going to restaurants, it almost sounds like that's a problem when it comes to your nutrition.
Yeah, because I like to be in the moment. I don't like being that person that's like, oh, I can't eat that or whatever, right?
Why?
Because like, you want to be present. You don't want to be that.
You think that saying like I can't eat that is not being present?
No, you just tend to be that insufferable person at some point where you're like,
Insufferable. Wow, that's
yeah,
pretty judgy. So when
where
you
you
hear people talk like that, do you think they're insufferable?
at some point it becomes insufferable, right?
At what
Like
point is that?
when it's like every time you see this person, when it's like, every time there's a gathering and this person's like, oh, I'm not eating that, or I can't have that, or I'm gonna diet, or I'm watching my macros or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, and I don't like being that person. And
You don't
and
like
and look,
being
I'm
that
not gonna
person.
lie. I'm not gonna mince words here. If somebody brings some cookies to work, I want that freaking cookie. I mean, if it looks good, I'm gonna have it, right?
Yeah.
Because you and I used to have this discussion about what was it, mindful eating, or what was it?
Mindful eating.
Yeah, yeah. We're like, well, I'm watching my macros and my protein and my carbs, and you're like, well, there's mindful eating too, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I think I started doing a little bit too much of mindful eating.
Well, hold on a second. Let's make sure we're on the same page about what
Yeah.
mindful eating means. What does it mean to you?
That, if you want to have that cookie, have that cookie. Just keep it in check, right? Like, don't start having a cookie every day, or, you know, or have four cookies after it, right? Like, you want to have the cookie, have the cookie, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's where I messed that up, where I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll have a cookie again, or maybe I'll also have a muffin or something like that.
Right. Okay, now it all makes sense. So
Yeah,
let me just clarify for mindful eating. When I say the term mindful eating, I mean that there is like you're really present in making that decision about what you're going
right.
to eat. And it can look a lot of different ways where I could be that insufferable person who says like, you know what? I'm not eating that kind of food, but thank you. I brought, you know, food that I can eat and more to share with other people if they're interested. Or I could be the person that sees the plate of cookies, because I am also that person, and I say, you know what, I'm going to have one. But
Yeah.
if I have one, I'm going to really be present with that cookie. I'm going to taste it, and I'm going to decide, like, is it worth it? Does it really actually taste that good? Is the sweetness exactly what I need, or is it too sweet? Because I had this happen recently where I took a bite of something. It was some sort of sweet, and it was like, whoa, that was way sweeter than I anticipated. And just because I had it, and I don't like to waste food. That's a big pet peeve of mine. I decided to let that go and not finish it because it did not feel good. Do you, German, feel like when you have the cookie or when you have foods that you think that you're not supposed to have, are you really present with it and how it makes you feel?
Um, yeah, because I'm the same way. If I don't like it, I'm not gonna finish it. But most of the time I do like it. I mean,
Yeah, no, that's
that's
honest. I love that. That's
yeah,
totally honest. That's how I feel about dark chocolate.
right.
Um, So I'm just you said something. You said, "Listen, I do eat mindfully, and I will have that cookie mindfully. But the problem might be like I want another cookie, or I want
Right.
another form of sweet, and so I want to share this. And I have a feeling you already know this, but sugar and sweets in particular are very addictive, and that's something that you, German, do not have any control over. That's in the brain, we want to continue getting that sugar hit if we start with it. If we are taking in sugar regularly and we're taking in that highly absorbable form, like sugar cane, for example, then we are going to want that sugar hit again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And is it possible that something like that is happening?
That's possible. I mean, um, because when I sometimes if I'm really like watching what I'm eating, if I'm being that person, right? I don't even get the craving for sweets or for,
That makes a lot of sense. That
right?
makes a lot of sense. If you had to choose a vice, whether it was like salty or high fat, fried stuff, alcohol, or highly processed snacks or sweet things, which one do you feel like would be your vice?
Ooh, probably the salty or the high fat foods.
In what form? Like, give me some food examples.
Well, I think the salty and the fat are kind of similar, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't like
They
eating a
usually
bag of
go
chips,
together.
but like bacon. I mean, who doesn't love bacon,
Oh, bacon.
right?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Don't get me started on bacon.
Right. Or like a big juicy burger, like that's
Mm.
yeah.
Um, all right. Things just got really interesting. I used to eat a ton of bacon, a ton,
Hmm.
and hamburgers too. But that was my vice, and so I was pretty much good on everything else. That was my vice. Did my LDL cholesterol shoot up? Yeah, it did, but I also had high HDL cholesterol. Do you know what that is, German?
Yeah.
The HDL is, like, just to keep it simple, that's the good cholesterol. That's the stuff what we want. That's the healthy fats like the avocado, the olive oils, the nuts and seeds. And then the bad cholesterol, or the LDL, which mine was high, and it's a little bit high right now. Bacon does not help that. Um, some red meats don't help that. Fried foods do not help that at all. And then an overabundance of sugar that we're not utilizing in the body through, energy output, exercise, activity, that can get converted into stored fat. Have you had your blood work done?
I have it done, once a year maybe when I have to go get a physical or just when I go to the doctor for whatever issue, usually to do my blood work, and
Yeah.
I'm surprisingly healthy when it comes
What
to
do
that.
you mean you're surprisingly healthy? You're surprised that you're quote unquote healthy according to your blood work?
Well, like I'm a big dude, so like you wouldn't think that like all my blood work's gonna come out, within range, cholesterol's fine. Like especially like at my age in my mid 40s, where like people start having issues with that. Every time I have to get blood work done for whatever reason, it might be a physical or some other random doctor's visit. Um, it always comes back normal
I
or
would
within
not
range.
have judged based on what you look like because I can tell you that blood work can show up a lot of different ways for people that like either look healthy or maybe don't look quite as fit. You can be very, very surprised by blood work. So don't judge a book by its cover when it comes to that. So that, listen, that's good news. That's really great news. Now, so that's, look at that. That's something that you can congratulate yourself on. That's something you don't really have to work on. If you end
Right.
up, working towards your health goals, which I know you will, I bet that those numbers will be impacted positively even more. And hey, that's nothing to sniff at, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, what what can we do? What can I do to help you get closer to that goal?
Just kick my ass when you need to. I mean,
You're
that's
funny. You're one of
you're. I
these
mean,
people who really appreciates when I come at you.
yeah. No, we have a very like healthy like friendship where like I feel that if you call me out on my bullshit, I'm like, yeah, yeah. I mean, it
Do
is
I
what it
call you
is.
out on your bullshit?
You called me out a couple times, or
What did I
when we're
say? Do you
working out.
even remember?
No, just in general, when we're like working out and I'm like complaining like, oh, I stayed out late last night. You're like, German, get to work. I'm like, okay. I know we had that. We worked out a couple of months ago, right? And I
I
was
think I
like
was
saying,
yelling that though. I was like, get those burpees done.
yeah, however it was, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. You called me out on it, so I appreciate that
Okay,
because
well,
you're
that's
trying to
good to
help.
know.
You're not doing it to be mean.
No,
That's the thing. You're doing
never.
it because you're trying to help. So
Yes. Yes. And I only know like two modes, which is like full on military style, because of, who I was raised by, and then like gentle person who is nurturing and wants to listen
right.
and be soft and gentle. And then my thing is I'm trying to do something in between. So when I yell at you, I want to immediately, after you get the work done, I want to follow it up and say, hey, are we cool? Because
Yeah, and you've done that.
I do that with you.
Yeah, we're like, hey, was I yelling at you? Was I too mean? I'm like, no. I mean, you're trying to help. I mean, it's if you were just yelling at me, for no reason, I'd be like, oh, dude, what's wrong with you? But I know why you're doing it, so it's like, you know, I take it for what it is, which is you trying to help.
I appreciate that a lot. I think it's also important for health coaches and trainers to check in with people that they're coaching because, um, you know, not everybody responds the way that you do, German. Not everybody likes that form of coaching. Everybody is different. They all have their own preferences. And so I'm just fortunate enough to feel like I know what it is that you prefer. You
Yeah,
like a little bit of tough love.
yeah, and the other thing is that I know what I don't know. So whether it's when it comes to fitness, when it comes to flying or whatever, hockey or any of the things that I do, even at my job. If I have a question and I go to somebody that whose opinion I respect or who I believe know what they're talking about, I'm open to that, right?
Yeah. And
I'm
I think that's
coachable.
why you are coachable. Do you know how important this is? If you are going to change, if you're going to grow, if you are coachable, then you're already winning. I already know
Right.
you're going to be successful. The people that I meet and I can tell that they are coachable, I already know they're going to succeed. So listen, when you said that word right there, I know you're going to succeed in getting your first goal of like, let's get you down to 220, right? And we already named two ways. Do you remember in this conversation so far,
Mm.
two little strategies that we're going to start implementing? Do you remember?
Yeah. Start packing. Start, you know,
Specific.
hard-boiled eggs.
Okay, good. Start packing them. There was another one. I don't know if you remember it.
I might have. I don't know if I remember it. I might have
You
been.
You do. It was about accountability partner.
Oh
You
yeah,
said there were a
yeah,
couple
getting
of
an accountability
people.
buddy. Yeah,
Yes. Now, did you see how it was easy to forget that second one? Because we're talking about a lot of things here. And I think
right.
a lot of people can get overwhelmed because German, I feel like many people, including yourself, have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to health and fitness. Like, you know the do's, you know the don'ts, you know way more than the average person when it comes to health and fitness. And so I want to challenge you to write some of this stuff down. It might seem
Okay.
rudimentary, it might seem like an extra step, but write down, start packing hard-boiled eggs. Make sure I have a cooler, make sure there's ice in it. And that's your one little nice thing you're doing for your nutrition. The second thing is reach out to possible accountability partner and, figure out what that looks like. Are we checking in with each other weekly? Are we checking in with each other every day, every other day? Are we doing it through text? Are we doing it through social media? Are we doing a phone call? The more specific you can get, the the more successful you will be, and you will get to that success most likely quicker because you have a very distinct, clear plan of action. Now, let me ask you this. If I could ask for like a third thing that you're going to work on, that we're going to generate out of this conversation, let's brainstorm together, you and I, what that
Yeah.
would be.
I think it's got to be the self accountability to start with.
How does one become self accountable? Because I get you, but man, how do you put that into action,
That's the tricky part. That's
right?
yeah.
Do you remember what worked for you in the past with
I
self
think
accountability?
I think it started by being held accountable, right? Whether it was the challenges or whatever, and then it just became like I've done all this work. I don't want to you know, go backwards.
Yeah,
And the moment I kind of got off of that, I went backwards, right? So
yeah.
I think it's just once a minute. That's where I start holding myself super accountable. So I just got
Say
to get
that
there.
last sentence again. When do you start holding yourself super accountable?
Once I'm already in some sort of like
How
plan
long do you have
or
to be in?
I don't know. I've never timed it, but just
What you're saying is you need to find your groove. You need to
yeah,
find your flow.
yeah. Once I get into a flow or a groove, that's when I'm like, I almost don't need an accountability buddy at that point. But it's just getting there. That's
So what you're saying is, hey Kat, like I know what that third step needs to be. I need to start being more self-accountable. But the only way I'm going to get there is I need to start with an accountability buddy, stay on track, form that new habit,
right.
right? Where I find my groove with my consistency, with fitness, with my eating habits, practice mindful eating, and then once I get in that groove, that new pattern, it's so much easier for me to hold myself accountable, and I might not even need that accountability partner anymore.
Right.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a plan. You have two things, and when are you going to reach out to these possible people that you could be an accountability partner with?
Oh, as soon as I get a chance to, once, probably after the holidays, because everybody's out and about, and I try not to like start bugging people around this time of the year, but right after, yeah.
Yeah. What date is it, like right after the holidays? What would you say is an appropriate date to go ahead and start reaching out?
I don't know, like after the new year. I mean, I know it sounds cliche, right? Like, new
It
year,
does
new
sound
me, but
cliche. It
new
does.
year, new me, but I mean, we're having this conversation, between Christmas and New Year's, right?
Do
So,
you know for a fact that if you were to contact somebody today via text or phone call or email or social media and said, "Hey, like I want to reach a health goal of mine. I'm
mhm.
wondering if you want to be my accountability partner so I can also help you reach whatever goal you decide to do." Do you think that you would quote unquote be bugging them?
I mean, not necessarily bugging them, but I'm like, it just sounds kind of random, like right now, but.
Okay, is there something wrong with random?
No, I don't, not necessarily.
Okay, so is bugging them a story or is it a fact?
It's a possibility.
It's a
And by that I mean,
possibility.
and by that I mean, I might text somebody and they might be with family, they might be whatever, and it's sort of like I want them to be. This is like their time to enjoy, the holidays.
Right. Is it, are you making a decision for them or are you letting them make a decision for themselves?
No, I'm just deciding that, that's how I would feel almost if somebody
So
kind
that's
of,
how you would feel. Got you.
yeah.
Do you feel like this, the people that you're already thinking about asking to be your accountability partner and you being theirs, can is it even possible for you to reach out and say like, hey, I know it's during the holidays, but it's also going to be the start of a new year, which might be a great time to start, towards a great, achieving a great health goal. I know that you're probably with family and you're busy doing all the, wonderful holiday stuff, but I wanted to just plant a seed in your head saying like, hey, I thought of you. I think it would be cool if you were my accountability partner, and I would certainly be yours. Why don't you reach out to me if you're interested, and please do it, when it's convenient for you. Don't, happy holidays.
Yeah, that sounds pretty
Does that seem
reasonable.
inappropriate?
No, that sounds pretty reasonable.
Right? And then we
When you put
stop
it that
making
way,
yeah, right? There you go. And when we stop making excuses of like, "Oh, I'll just wait because I don't want to bother them." I want what I'm trying to get you to see here is that's a story. Yes, is it a possibility? Sure. But you know what? Them also being like, "Damn, German thought of me. This is a perfect time of year. I also have a health goal." And I'm really glad he reached out. Holidays can be very stressful for people, and sometimes they want to do nice things for themselves and take a break from the family stuff. But
right?
that's my own story. So what I think we need to do is be respectful to other people and also get active, be proactive, get out there, stop waiting. Stop waiting till we think it's convenient. You need to just like, that's why do you think I asked you, German, when are you going to make these eggs? It seems like a small thing, but it's kind of
Yeah,
a big deal when you say, hey, Kat, I'm going to make them today.
yeah. I'll take a picture and send them to you.
You know what? Thank you. Um, are you getting it?
Yeah,
We have to take action now. We can't be
right.
waiting a week or a two. Life, as you said multiple times today, life happens.
Hmm.
And so we need to take the reins, if you will, and be more proactive. I love that. Is there anything else that you want to share that might be beneficial, that might give people a even more clearer picture of who you are and what you want for yourself? Or is there anything you want to share before we close out?
No, I just wanted to also revisit the prior episode. We were talking about you and Jamila, and the, you guys were discussing the people you surround yourself with, right?
Oh, yes.
Uh,
Yes.
that it's not always necessarily beneficial to only surround yourself with like-minded people or with people that you fully agree with, because then you get into an echo chamber where you're not challenged, you're not hearing other perspectives, and you lose out on the chance to be a good influence to those people, right? So that's what I wanted to close out with. Don't don't close yourself out to other people based on some trait of them that you don't like, right?
Right. Because I'm right there with you. I have friends who I don't agree with politically. We don't share the same, religious views. I have friends who, live a different lifestyle than me, and I love them. I love them, and I find them interesting, and they have other qualities that I really, really enjoy. And so I 100% agree with you. I just want to add a small caveat there where I think the reason why Jamila and I talked about that, we dedicated a whole episode to who you surround yourself with matters, is because, in particular, negative people, people who are consciously or not conscious of how negative they are, that can impact you. it takes a toll on you energetically, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It can take a toll on you. And so that's more of where we were going with that conversation. I think that surrounding yourself with people who have different opinions, different likes and dislikes, I think that's super healthy, and there's an opportunity for everybody to grow. And I think I would say you, German, you definitely do that. You're very good at that. So let me ask you this, just to finish up that part of the conversation. Do you feel that you limit or you are mindful of the kinds of people energetically you spend time with?
Yeah, I think energetically I gravitate towards certain type of people and they gravitate towards me. Um, so I don't really have that issue with like toxic people because the moment I get a bad vibe, I'm just not even gonna try to deal with these people, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I sort of like nip it in the bud when it comes to that. So anybody that I become friends with or have some sort of like social relationship with, there's somebody that isn't like toxic or like you said, negative, right?
Yeah.
And when they are and when you can't help it, I mean, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's, people that you have to deal with. You
Absolutely.
just try to do the minimum, right? The minimum type of interaction with them. But
Mm.
and I'm also mindful of the people that I'm spending time with, of what their proclivities or issues may be, right? Like um, if I'm hanging out with you, I know that our whatever we're doing is going to be something fitnessy. We're going to be like running a 5K or we're going to be, doing some kind of workout. Like I
We're
know
going to
like,
the
oh,
Saturday stairs.
right. And I'm not like we're not going to a bar drinking. Like I already know that. So there's not an expectation of that at all, right?
Right.
Um, and if I go, I have friends, I have, acquaintances that I know have issues with alcohol. So when I'm spending time with them, I'm not gonna like drink. I'm not gonna have a beer because I'm mindful of their situation, right? So that's also another thing that we have to be mindful of, like not just ourselves, but the effect we might have on other people.
100%. 100%, because it's not all about us, right?
Right.
We want to be mindful of how we're impacting other people. And I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah. Well, this has been a lovely conversation. I 100% support you in your health and fitness journey. And I already know in my heart, in my guts, you're going to get that goal. And I just feel honored that I'm going to be a small part of it in you checking in with me, sending me a picture of you making the eggs. I believe in you. And so I want to remind you again to reach out to those possible accountability partners. You can have more than one, by the way, but maybe you
Yep.
just find a solid, dependable, reliable one. And let's start there. Let's start small and be consistent. Yes?
Yes. And then we'll
All
have to
right.
do a follow-up episode in a couple of months to
I
see.
would love to. A
Yeah.
hundred percent. Folks, you heard it. So so let's see what happens in a couple of months. Should we
If,
say,
if if I need more motivation, that's it right there.
there you go? Should we say 2 months or should we say 3 months? What are you thinking? 60 days or
Well,
90 days?
let's do 90.
Let's do 90. I shouldn't have given
Yeah.
you the option because I knew you were going to choose. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
90
90
days.
days.
You got it. So just today is December 26th. Let's look in the calendar so we can put that in, okay? Today's December 26th. So we want to do January, February. Let's say March 26th. That's a Wednesday. Does that work for you?
Uh, I think the general range of dates works for me right now. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put it in the calendar, and if we need to change it by a day or so, that's fine. But once we put something in the books, you know it's going to happen the same way this happened today.
Yep. Yeah.
Beautiful. German, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. You're a wonderful friend and a wonderful human.
Likewise. Have a good one.